Welcome back. This is John Kolocha from J. Kolocha Guitars. This is part 2 of our Epiphone Les Paul rewiring. So today we're actually going to do the rewiring. We're going to put everything in, we're going to test it, see how it all works. Hopefully we'll get it all right the first time. First thing I want to do though is I want to talk about the wire that we're going to use. Any wire that I'm going to have to add, I'm probably going to predominantly use pushback wire. I really like pushback wire. It's very nice because it doesn't require stripping, it's easy to work with, it's traditional, it looks good. Overall I really like to use it. It's a little bit bulkier than regular wire. So if you're tight or you have to make bends or do things like that, maybe regular wire is a better way to go. But for what we're going to do here, I think we're going to be able to do the entire thing with various types of pushback wire. A couple different ways you can get it. Oh, and of course the reason it's called pushback wire is you don't need to strip it. You just push back the insulation. It's like a cloth insulation. You push it back, you make your joint, and then you push it back up to the joint. It's really quite nice. This is not a shielded one. This is just a regular one. You can get it in various colors. This happens to be white. I also have black and yellow. You can get it through StuMac. I'm not sure where else you can get it. It's not that easy to find anymore these days. But you can certainly get it through StuMac. That's where I get most of mine, if not all of mine. This is probably what we're going to be using more. This shielded one. I like it. I use it a lot, but I'm going to show you how to work with this. It's not as easy to work with. That's not to say it's hard to work with, but there's a couple of techniques that we're going to need to know. So what I'm going to do is just cut off a length like that. And the question is always, how do you terminate this? What do you do with the shield? Because you always, or usually, sometimes you can just solder it directly down onto a pot, but oftentimes you actually need to turn this into a pigtail of some sort. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about how do we do it. And there's a couple of different ways. The first way is probably the easiest way. Both ways start the same way. Just get a screwdriver. This is a really small screwdriver. This is teeny tiny. It doesn't have to be a screwdriver. Maybe a paper clip would work. But what I like to do is come in on an end. And you don't have to worry too much about the end. Let me see if I can get just a little bit closer here. You don't have to worry too much about the end, because that's going to get cut off. You never want to use an end that you're working on and doing things on. You always want to have a nice fresh cut there. So this is going to be long, and you'll cut it off. And all I'm doing, I'm just loosening it up. Loosening it up. Now it's loose. You see, I can push back the shield. See that? And you can just take your screwdriver and just start unbraiding this thing. Just start at the top, and just stick it in the little gaps here. It sucks to get old. And you just start unbraiding it, and that's it. There's no magic to it. Don't do what I see some people do. I see this all the time, where to do this, what I'm doing here, instead of doing it like this and unbraiding it, they'll just like cut down the center, and then we'll get it and twist it, and there are pieces of wire falling all over the place because they're cutting through the wire. There's no need for that. This is just braided, and it will unbraid. There are some advantages and disadvantages to doing it like this. I mean, an obvious advantage is that it's pretty easy. There's really no skill involved. You're just unbraiding it. The disadvantage is there's kind of a practical limit to how much you can unbraid it, because when it starts getting much longer than, okay, so here you can see we've made a very nice pigtail, okay? A nice braided, nice heavy piece of braid there, and we have our pushback in the middle. Okay, that's a very nice job. Once you start getting much longer than this, it starts becoming harder and harder to unbraid it. Because it's like, it starts getting to be like untangling Christmas tree lights. You have these big long wires, lots of them, and they're all tangled up, and they're going to start breaking, and they're getting hung up on each other. It's just going to get much harder. But if you just need about that much, which is about what you normally need, this is a great way to do it. Okay. Now, if you need a lot more, let's say for whatever reason. And we actually may run into this situation in this guitar. In fact, that's why we're talking about it. We're gonna have to see. Let's say I needed like this much. Let's say I needed a lot. Okay. There's another technique, and you've probably never seen this technique. This is going to be new. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen this technique online, or certainly not in a video. So this is a lot of people are going to benefit from this. This is what I like to do. Starts the same way. We need to loosen up the braid. So all I'm doing, I have my screwdriver at the top, and I'm just loosening it up. Okay, and now it's loose. Try to lean in a bit here. Okay. Now once it's loose, I can sort of do this. And that braid is like an accordion, you see. And now that braid is really loose. That's really loose, okay? And what we can do, let's say we need about this much. Let's say we need about this much, right? What we can do, let's start making some room here. All I'm doing is taking my screwdriver and just kind of doing this. And I'm loosening it up. See, I have a lot of slack here now. Okay. I have a lot of slack. So I should be able to get this very loose. Now I can't keep on doing it like that because it's very awkward, so I'm going to have to lean back a bit. And you're just going to have to trust me that I'm not doing anything funny. All I'm doing is just doing what I showed you. I'm just making room. Making some room. Making a little hole there. Okay? Let me see if you can see what I have so far. Just making some room. Okay, so we get all that slack, and now we're taking it up here to make a hole. Not a hole in the braid, but we're kind of unbraiding it in the middle. We're sort of loosening up the braid in the middle. And now watch what I'm going to do. See, now that we have that hole, I'm going to get my screwdriver. I'm going to put it in, and I'm following the conductor around, the black insulation for the conductor around. I'm going to try to get my screwdriver in behind the braid and all the way out the other side. Now, I think most of you guys can probably see where I'm going with this. And here's the situation we have. That screwdriver is now sitting behind. It's sitting between the wire and the braid. So that's pretty cool, because now what we can do, I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack on this side. See, I'm just making more and more room, and this wire now, you're going to be able to get it. It's like a magic trick. This is great. How come everybody doesn't do it like this? How come you don't see this anywhere? Why? This is like, now I can make that 10 feet long if I want. This is awesome. Okay, it's a great trick. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of preparation. What I like to do, here's the switchcraft jack. What I like to do is I like to pre-wire this jack. It's a lot easier to do that than to have everything wired here and then to have to work in here or to have this out at some funny angle, and then shove it in. What I like to do is I like to have this wired, and then all I have to do is snake the cable through, the wire through, and then I'll do the rest of my wiring in here. So that's the first thing that I need to do. So what I need 3 wires going to this. It's going to be a wire coming here from the output jack. There's going to be 2 wires coming from each of the volume pots. Okay, so I need 3 wires that are about this long. I'm gonna cut one of them really long, because that's going to be my output jack, and it has to snake through here, and I definitely don't want to be short there. And then I'm going to cut 2 more that are just a little bit shorter, but not much shorter. Now, this may look like I'm wasting a lot of wire, but believe me, the first time you cut a wire short and you have to recut that long length of wire, you're going to waste a lot more wire. And the wire's just not that expensive. It's expensive, but not that much that we're going to worry about it too much. So there's my first length of wire. See, it's nice and long. I want these long. And we may refer to these, you know, this gives me a couple of mistakes to work with. I don't do things perfectly the first time all the time. If you do, well, more power to you. I don't. So I'm going to leave myself a little bit of screwing up room here. I suggest you do the same. Here we go. So you can see we didn't really carefully measure anything. We just kind of eyeballed it longer than I need. So I have my 2 short pieces, and I have my piece that's a little bit longer. Okay? All right, let's get set up, and we're actually going to solder these to the switch now. Okay, here we are. Now, you sharp-eyed viewers there are going to notice that I do not have my super fancy, hyper-expensive JBC iron out, because you probably don't have a super fancy, hyper-expensive JBC iron. What I'm going to do is this is an older Hakko. This is actually a Hakko FP102. They don't make this anymore. I recommend you get the Hakko FX888. It's not going to take the same tips. This is a cartridge style tip. They're tips like this, but get the tips that I've recommended in previous videos, and you're going to be just fine. The performance of that station is it may actually even be better than the performance of this station here. This is very old. And I think the FX888 actually performs better than this older one did. But one thing that I do want you to notice, have a big fat tip on there. That's what you want for this kind of work. You want a big fat tip. Now this may actually even be too big for some of the stuff that we're going to do. But if I can do it all with this, I'm gonna just use this for the whole thing. All right. There we go. All right. So let's look at our switch. You see you have a million different things you can solder to. Let me show you how this Switchcraft one works. These 2 tabs over here, that's where the signal from the volume pots are coming from. This is where the pickup is coming in. And the output's going to be here. These 2 are going to be shorted to each other. See, because this is actually 2 switches together. There's a switch on that side, and there's a switch on this side. You could wire them up separately if you wanted to. There's some applications where you want to do that, so that the middle is both switches are actually on. And then when you move it off to the side, it shuts one off. When you move it to the other side, it shuts the other one off. And when it's in the middle, both of them are on. That's not how we're going to wire it. We're going to wire it so that these 2 are shorted to each other, because that's going to be our output. So that when it's in the middle, both of them are on and going to go to the output jack. So the first, oh, and then there's this big honking tab there, and that is our ground lug. That's how we're going to ground the switch. That's not a signal. That's just a ground. So the first thing I'm going to do is take what is eventually going to go to the output jack, and that's going to be wired so that it grounds through that ground lug, okay? And the signal is going to go up here. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to leave myself plenty of excess. We're going to use that little technique I showed you in the beginning of the video. I'm going to pull the conductor, and the insulation. I'm going to make that little hole, and I'm going to pull it out about at that point there. So let's do that now. Now remember what we did. What we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves some slack here. I gotta put my glasses on. Hang on. Okay. There we go. I can see it. I can see again now. I'm going to give myself some slack. And where'd my switch go? I'm going to need about this much. Need about that much to be safe. I'm just going to start to bunch this up. Get back to that point. There, about over here. Okay, and I'm going to have a lot of excess at the end, so that's good. Well, there we go. Now maybe you'll get a better view of this. I'm not sure, but we're going to make ourselves our little hole. Whatever you have to do to make your little hole. You know, try not to break too many wires. You know, you're liable to break a couple of wires, but try to keep it to a minimum. Well, most of the time I can do this without breaking any. Okay, so I've made my little hole. I've made my little place where I can snake that wire through. I'm gonna wrap my screwdriver around in there to release. There we go. See? Now I've got it in there. And once you get that screwdriver in there, the rest is pretty simple. There. It'll fight you sometimes. Like this is fighting me just a little bit here. I have to loosen it up just a little bit more and change the angle that I'm yanking it at. There we go. Now we got it. Ta-da! Okay, and we have this nice heavy thick braid. Really nice, heavy, thick braid. That's good. Okay. And I am going to cut about that much. I just want enough to get through. And I'm going to tin it. Try to do this nice and neat. This wire holder is really great. It's actually made by Panavice. So this is a Panavice, of course. That's actually made by Panavice, and it works really well. Okay. Clean my tip. Let's get this tinned. and I hope you can see this. Let me see, can you see it? I'm gonna zoom you in. Okay. Yeah, you can see it. So what I'm gonna do, make a little solder bridge, touch it to the braid. There you go. That's tinned. Piece of cake. Okay. I'm going to stick it in here. Let me get there we go. You can bend these out of the way just a little bit if it makes it easier to get this in. Let me bend that out of the way just a little bit more. What's going on here? Oh, see, I have a little glob of solder there. It's going to remelt it. There. That should go in just fine now. There we go. And now you can just bend it back. See, and you can see this is going to do a really nice job of. It's going to be very neat. Okay. I like to get it, and let me zoom you out. I like to get this and bend it like that just a little bit so we have a good mechanical bond too. Cut it. There we go. And now we'll solder it. See if I can zoom you in way in on that. Let's give it a second to focus here. Going to let me switch to manual focus. Oh, it's a little bit too. It's not. I'm not going to be able to get it. Okay, that's about the best we're gonna be able to do, I'm afraid. But here we go. Same as always. Make the solder bridge. Keep both sides up, heat what you're soldering to and the wire. It's going to take some heat and flow in the solder. And that's it. I made a really nice joint. Okay, so then I could have a look at the other side here. Yeah, that's a good joint. So one thing to notice about this joint. See if they're cool enough to hold. I dumped a lot of heat in there. Okay. One thing to notice about this joint, I did not fill up the hole. It's not to say if you fill up the hole it's bad, but it's unnecessary. What's necessary is you have a good joint between the between whatever you're soldering and whatever you're soldering to. And as you can see, if you've looked in, if you've watched my other videos, you're going to be able to tell just by looking at this that that's a really nice joint. Okay, that's what you're looking for. More solder does not make for a better joint. Of course, you have to have sufficient solder, but having more than you need really does not. It's not helpful. Let me put it that way. It's not helpful. Now, to do this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to see about how much I need. I'm going to need about that much. So I'll cut it. Now I'm going to show you how much I'm cutting. I'm cutting here. It looks like I left a ton of excess, but I didn't. Yes, I need what I left there. Here's what I love. Just push back the wire push it back. Just like that. And we'll thread it through. Okay. And actually, what I'm going to do first, this wire is not tinned. I'm sorry. It is tinned, but it's not. It's not like pre-bonded. The wire itself is tinned. It's copper wire with that's been tinned, but it hasn't been bonded. The whole wire as a unit hasn't been bonded. So what I want to do is definitely I want to tin the entire thing, or you'll get what's called furring, where when you start to bend it, the braid will start to come apart. And you really don't want that. What I'm going to do, same as always. Down, come up. Coming up wipes off the excess. I just have this here just to keep the insulation out of my way. There we go. Now we're going to bend it in. And what I like to do, because it makes it easier for me, I sort of squeeze them together like that, and then I take this. I take the wire that I just put through, and I kind of do this, and I bend it up a bit. You see. And what that does, that just keeps everything in place while I'm soldering. Just keeps it all in place. See if you can see just what the heck it is I've done here. Okay, that just keeps it all in place. All right. Now we'll solder it. I'm going to try to do it so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm in a really awkward position here, but you don't care about that. Can you see? So I'm going to make my little solder bridge, and I'm going to come from the other side and flow in the solder. Make the solder bridge, flow it in. Yeah, it looks good. Again, that's a very good joint. I'll show it to you. Okay. Again, you can see that's a very nice joint. Nice, it's clean, it's shiny. There's no big solder balls. You know, it's just a good joint. Okay. And now we're just going to do the same thing for our signal. But when we do the signal, I do not want to ground the signal here. The signal is going to be grounded in the cavity. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that it's never going to short out against the braid. We want to make sure that this braid is not just randomly kicking around inside the cavity there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this on both. I'm going to bring this back, bring some of the braid back here. I'm going to take some of this off like that. Yeah, nice and neat. Then I'm just going to cut it. And I'm not going to cut it over here. I'm actually going to cut it off the edge of my bench, so at least it falls on the floor. Try to keep my surface here kind of clean. Okay. And that's it. So see, I've just prepared that end. I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other wire. I don't mind cutting wire over here. I just don't like cutting the braid itself when it's all messed up like this, because because you'll end up with these tiny little pieces of metal that you'll never get out again, or it'll take you a long time to get out, and it'll be hard. It'll scratch things up when you put your guitar down. I'll be honest, I don't really care so much for my own guitars. You know, my guitars aren't closet queens. They get played and they get scratched up, and that's just how it is. But if you're doing it for yourself, or you're doing it for a customer, certainly if you're doing it for a customer, you want to keep this surface relatively clean. There we go. Be careful with this. You can poke yourself with these thin little wires. You know, I've had in the past I've had little metal splinters from a lot of things, but specifically from these wires, and they get into your skin, and you could have an inch-long splinter in there, and it'll hurt. It'll get infected. You know, it'll just, all sorts of bad things will happen. So be careful. If you really wanted to, you could put a little bit of heat shrink on the end to keep it from furring. It's not necessary at all, but you could. I've seen people terminate their wires like that. Let's turn this around. Now, if you don't have something like this, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time. You're going to have to use some sort of clip or something. I don't know. You know, you're going to have to gin something up. You're gonna find that when you're soldering, the biggest pain in the butt, we're going to tin these wires while I'm talking, the biggest pain in the butt is going to be holding stuff while you are working. That is always a pain in the butt. Always a pain in the butt. How do you hold it? Well, I happen to think that this is a pretty good solution. So I'd encourage you to buy one. Now you can use, you know, alligator clips. There's all sorts of ways to do it. There we go, just a quick tinning. I've seen this a million times. I don't have to show you this. I'm just going to do it. There we go, all nice and tinned. Looks ugly now, but it'll look neater in a second. Okay. And again. Just stick it through. I give it a little bend. Like that. Make a little hook. Yeah. Little hook. And solder. I can't inspect that from here. I'm gonna have to look at that in a second. But I have no reason to believe that it's anything but good. So. There we go. Stick it through. Make a little bend. You could cut off the excess if you want to. I have a little bit too much excess here, so I am going to cut it. If you see me blowing on it, I'm not blowing on it to cool down the joint. I'm just blowing on it to get the solder fumes, the flux fumes out of my face, because I don't have my. I normally have a flux extractor on my bench. I don't have it set up here, and even if I did, I couldn't use it because it makes too much noise. And there you go. Let me have a look at these and see how they look. Oh, well, you know what? They look pretty damn nice. Let's look at them. Okay. This is what you should be seeing. Okay. If you're not seeing that, go look at some of my basic soldering videos that I did. I think we're probably going to do some more, but that's how it should look, nice and neat. And then you can just get this. This is what I really love about this wire. You can just get it and push it over. See that? And that just makes, I mean, it's just like, it's beautiful. All right. We come back, we're gonna start looking at pickups and pots. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back. Okay, so while we were off camera, I just went around real quick. I had already looked at the switch, so I knew that was going to be okay. But I wanted to have a look at the pots and the jack to see exactly what all the hole sizes are and this and that, because you always run into problems. You know, you always run into surprises, especially with these mass-produced guitars. You know, they do weird things. So let me show you a weird thing I found that we're going to have to fix. If you look at the jack plate, you can see that the jack plate's not round. See that? It's got like this flat area on it here. That's an anti-rotation thing. In fact, if I gotta go on, see, can I find it? I think I tossed it out. But anyhow, it's to try to keep the jack from rotating. But of course, if you try to put a round thing in a square hole, you know, this is, you know, we all know that just simply doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to have to fix it. Now, there's a number of ways you can fix it. You can try to drill it. Maybe put a drill in there. You can try to run it backwards. I would probably do it in my drill press, maybe with a unibit or something like that. I would have a clamp down really tight, nice and tight, and doing it in the drill press, it's probably not going to want to grab as much because you can control it really well. But what are you going to do home? You know, you probably don't have a drill press. You probably don't have unibits. You may not have the tools to do it. So let's do it like this. Let me show you what I'm going to do. This material is actually very soft, and what I'm going to do is just take an X-Acto knife, and I'll try to do it up close here so that you can see it. Let's see, but I have to get in a position where I'm comfortable, and I'm going to go to the flat side, and oh shoot, it's harder than it looks. Okay, I'm gonna go to that flat side there, and I'm just slowly, these little peeling motions, I'm just slowly gonna start to round that out. There we go. And that should just drop right in, nice and round. Just drop right in. Yep, wait. Actually, it is going to drop right in, but I saw one little spot, just a little bit oblong. And cosmetically, maybe one day I won't own this guitar. But I don't want somebody to take off the jack and see a little thing there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And that just drops right in, and crisis averted. But you do want to plan this out before you start doing things. You know, before you start soldering things and sides. You know, make sure everything fits first. You know, maybe do a mock-up, put everything in once, like I did, and that'll make it obvious if there's something that's not going to work, and you want to figure that out before you get too far into it. I'm going to get reset up, and right back, I'm going to do some more. So the next thing I want to do is prepare my pickups. So I'm going to get the pickups. There's still the old pickups in here. Let's remove them. Let's get the new pickups in. Now, some of you are probably saying, this is boring stuff, but as I do in all my videos, or at least where it's possible, I don't like leaving anything out. I think I've mentioned this before. You know, to me, when you do that, it feels like these stupid cooking shows where you know, where everything's all nice and neat, you know, everything's cut and it's sitting in little bowls and they don't actually do anything. You know, they'll cut, oh, okay, let's put in an onion, you know, and they'll take a couple of cuts and they say, well, we actually need about 50 onions, and, you know, here they are, and they bring out a big bowl full of onions that are already cut, and then they put everything in a pot, and then they go, oh, look, there's one in the oven already done. Ta-da! I think that's a pile of crap. I would rather see somebody just fast forward through it, but I want to see you do it. I want to see you do the whole thing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the whole thing. And as you've seen in the other video that I posted already, I'm starting to fast forward through some stuff. So it's not too boring, but we are going to do the whole thing. Be right back. I'm just going to turn off the air conditioner in here. It's a little loud. Okay, nice and quiet. So all I'm doing is I'm unscrewing, and I'm sure there's some of you out there that have never actually been inside that you've never done this. You've never seen what does a pickup look like. You know what's holding it on. What does the little screws do? So let's go through it. You have the pickup ring here. Sits in the guitar like that. And the way, if you hear any wailing and crying, I have my wife here today, and we have our 2-year-old twin girls, and sometimes one of them gets a little bit upset. So we're not torturing chickens in the back. That's just my little girls. Okay, so the screws, see, they're on springs. See, the spring holds it down away from the pickup ring, and when you screw it in, it brings the pickup up, and when you bring it back, it brings the pickup down. Simple as that. Now, usually when you buy pickups, it's going to come with springs and screws. I think one of the pickups I have here now that I'm thinking about it may not have springs and screws, so we may be reusing some of this if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, then I'm going to have to go through my kit and see what I can find. Okay, I'm back. Well, found plenty of screws, but believe it or not, I could only find one spring. It's tough to hang on to these. I know I have a stockpile somewhere. So what I'm going to do, I can't do both pickups right now. What I'm going to do is a little bit later, I'm going to just grab another spring when I eventually find one. Let's keep going. Let me show you. This is how the pickup's going to come when you buy it. It's going to come like this, and you're going to have you have this little package. Okay. Now, I like. This is my preference when I put them in. It really doesn't matter, but my preference is I like having the adjustable pull pieces to the outside. I like having them like this. Don't have to have them like that. Just my preference. Could do them like this, like that. Doesn't matter. Okay. So one thing I'm going to check first, and you definitely want to check this, especially if you're using a pickup that you got from somewhere and you're not sure of its pedigree. Before you get too far into this, okay, take the pickup, put it in where you want it to go. This is my neck pickup now. Put it where you want it to go, and do a mock-up. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that and why you want to do a mock-up. Okay, I'm going to put the pickup ring here. Okay, a couple things I want to check. Does the pickup sit low enough? You're going to find all pickups are not the same. So for example, if I look at the neck pickup I took out of here and I line them up like this, you're going to see that the 59 mounting lug goes much lower than it does on the stock pickup. Now in this guitar it doesn't matter because we can see this fits more than low enough. It's going to be fine. You're going to find that there are some guitars where this may not fit. It really may not fit, and you may need to go in there and hog some of that out. So be careful there. Be careful. But what we're going to do. The other thing I want to check is my wire long enough. Now don't just hold it up like this, okay? Because a lot of times you have to route it around things. Actually put it in there and look. You know, this only takes a second to do. Now, I've done this enough times, and I happen to know that this wire is not cut. So I happen to know that this pickup on this guitar and this pickup has not been used. I happen to know that this is going to work fine, but check it. See where it's going to go. Now, this has to come to here. This has to come to that point, and as you can see, there's some excess there, but it's not a whole lot. It's really not a whole lot. It's not too difficult to imagine a scenario where this is not going to be long enough and you have to do something else. Figure that out before you start, okay? I've rarely run into that, but that's something that you will run into if you're taking these pickups from another guitar, especially the neck pickup. It always seems to be the neck pickup is an issue if one of them's going to be an issue. Okay, so just check it. All right. So I'm going to show you a cool little tool. Let me show you how you have to get these in now. Okay. Slice it open. So now remember, I want the pole pieces out. Remember, these pickup rings are not they're not flat. They're angled. You see. So remember, this thinnest part on both pickup rings always faces the neck of the guitar. So if I want the pole pieces out like this, here's the neck, here's the bridge. That means the pole pieces need to go near the neck. So it has to go in the pickup ring like this, okay? Has to fit that way. And what we want to do, I'm going to do one first. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take the spring, and you're going to find this is not the easiest task in the world. This is actually kind of a pain in the butt, because the spring's long, and you have to kind of line it up, and this is why these springs get lost all the time. They go flying across the room. You sort of have to line it up and hold everything in place, and it's not really that bad. It's really not, but it does take a little bit of fiddling. It does take just a little bit of fiddling. There we go. Oops. I mean, I've done this a million times, and I still find this kind of difficult. Well, just keep at it. You know, you may even want to wear some eye protection, to be honest. And there we have it. That's it. Okay. Let me show you this great tool from StewMac. Pain in the butt. I really have. I really have done. Pardon me a minute. You may just have to you may just have to take my word for it that that's a good tool. Maybe it'll work better for you. I'm gonna go find my spring, and I'll be right back. So this is gonna seem a little bit out of order because I'm actually done at this point, but I just had to come back and retake one portion of the video. I'm sure you've seen where I had to stop things, and maybe you saw some of the outtakes where I was really struggling with the StewMac tool, and it really is a good tool. I don't know why it was causing me to struggle so much with it, because it's so easy to use. So go check out the outtakes, and but here's how you do it. It's very easy. You just get it. You slip it over the top of the screw. You compress the spring. See that? And you do that, and it just holds the spring in place. It couldn't be simpler. It really is a good tool. It really is a very good tool. Especially if you struggle with this, and a lot of people do. If you're a busy shop and you do a lot of this sort of stuff, this is a time saver. Oh, there you go. And now it's holding the springs in place. It's very nice. Put it on the pickup. Where's my proper screwdriver here? Stick it on the pickup. Get the screw started. I'm just having a hard time seeing it because of the glare there. Oops. There. Okay. Screws are started. Pop it off. And you're done. Really very nice.